Tom Herman, Ohio State football. Figured I'd get that out of the way first, Tim.
Everybody good? We'll open it up. Go ahead, Doug. Second row right.
Doug Harris, State Daily News, Cox Media Group, Springfield News Sun, and Hamilton Journal News.
Played right on.
That's freaking awesome, man. You're my new favorite. Sorry, Tim.
That's all right.
Bill.
I got better ones
Doug.
than that. Okay.
After the game, Urban said he didn't know how much the wind impacted Braxton's throwing. He seemed a little wild at times. What were your observations?
I didn't know either. After watching film, I think it certainly did. Probably coaching error on my part in terms of maybe underestimating the impact that it had. It didn't, although it felt gusty at times on the field. I think obviously the higher the elevation got, the higher the ball got in the air, the more it was impacted by it. So he didn't throw the ball particularly well, though, intermediately either. And so to say that was to blame the entire lack of production in the throw game on the wind, I think would be a little bit overboard, but it certainly played a part.
Did you see fundamentally anything that was different than his previous games?
No, not terribly. I think he just was a little bit off, and that happens sometimes.
Right behind him, Dave.
Tom Herman talks about Jack Muir a lot as the most important offensive player of the team. Maybe on the outside that might sound silly to fans of guys like Hyde and Braxton, but what do you think he means by that? Kind of expand on his value.
Yeah, I think maybe the public perception is I think they really get enamored with skill position players, and they forget about maybe or aren't educated on how you win football games, and you win football games up front on both sides of the football. And to have a guy anchoring our offensive line that is as experienced and as professional about going about his business, and let's not forget he's a really good player too. You know, you can be all those things. You can be a great leader. You can be very professional. You can be, an anchor. You can do all that. But if you can't play, well, okay, great, you're a good kid. Maybe I'll hire you someday. But Jack's got all those qualities. Plus, he's a really, really, really good player and kind of glue that keeps us together up front.
Front row left, Doug.
Tom, what do you see in defenses now in how they're defending the read plays in the run game? Are they leaning towards stopping Braxton, leaning towards stopping Carlos, or are they not sure what to do?
Yeah, I think there's there's a variety of ways that teams are doing it, not just team by team dependent, but throughout the course of a game. I think teams have really gotten better over the course of the year and years plural of having a couple different answers. I mean, it's like going back and playing the old triple option teams in Navy or Georgia Tech or something. You can't sit and play the dive the same way every time, or they'll figure it out and rush for 500 yards on you. And the same is true for some of the stuff that we do, and we just happen to do it in the shotgun and some spread formations. So teams are switching it up, Doug. I don't know if there's one more common than the other. To say that I probably wouldn't have researched it enough, but we see a variety of looks on it every Saturday.
And how's Braxton at making those reads?
Better. I wouldn't. None of them. No quarterback is going to be perfect at it, and so we continue to try to improve it and study. Each snap is different. Each time, I mean, you break it down into the inches of a defensive end or a linebacker's, his steps and his eyes. Where are his eyes? How are his? We're talking about inches and shoulder turn and steps. He took one more step in here versus one more step out there, and so every time the ball is snapped is its own entity, and so I think he's getting better. That's probably a long answer to a short question. Getting better, but still got some improvement to do.
How's your baby?
He's awesome. Again, I'm glad he's not blonde hair, blue eyes, because I'd be a little worried because I hadn't been home very much. But
Second row middle, Dave.
Hey, back then you were.
Tom, I want to get your reaction to breaking some of the records that the 1995 Ohio State offense set. You guys have already broke the records in touchdowns for a season with still 3 games, maybe 4 games left to play. What's your reaction to that? I mean, that offense had guys like Eddie George, Orlando Pace, Bobby Hoying, Terry Glenn, and you guys are shattering those records. Your thoughts on that?
not to sound coach speak, but I hadn't thought about it. So to give you a short answer, I don't know. It probably something maybe we'll look back and enjoy after the season. But I didn't even know that were all those things that you said were even a possibility and/or had been already done.
I'll go in a different direction. Is it frustrating, as well as you guys are playing, that you guys are in the position you are in the BCS, or how would you describe the way you as a coach feel that you guys don't control your own destiny? I know it's a cliche.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's any frustration, because I think at the end of the day, I mean, it was like last year, everybody said, well, is there frustration that you can't go to a bowl game? No, we knew we couldn't go to a bowl game in January. Okay, we've known about the BCS for the last 15 years. I mean, we know that this is the system that we play in, and these are the cards that are dealt. So it's really has no bearing on how we prepare, how we play, to waste brain cells, as I call it, to waste brain cells even thinking about it or worrying about it would be brain cells that I can use better to help the offense or help Braxton or be a better husband or better father or whatever the case may be. But it's out of our control, so we can just go win games and play as well as we can and keep getting better every week.
Front row, Bill.
Still reeling from that answer. Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yes.
Coaches are never satisfied, but I would imagine this has been a very fun offense to be in charge of. When you look at this offense and where it is after 10 games, what improvement do you want to see the rest of the year? Where do you think you are right now?
I still think we can get better throwing the football. I don't know that although we're markedly better than we were in the past, I still would like to see us make the easy ones easy, and every now and again make the hard ones become a reality. And so I'd like to see some improvement there. And then we've got to continue. I think we're really good scoring in the first quarter, and so what I'd like to continue to develop is that killer instinct, whatever the pedal to the metal, the foot on their throat, whatever catchphrase you want to use, of, okay, you're up 28-0 in the first quarter, so what? We had more 3-and-outs against Illinois than probably close to the entire 9 games leading up to that combined. And so I think the good thing is that we've got some teaching to do. We scored 60 points at close to 600 yards of offense, and there's still a lot of teaching that can go on from that experience.
Indiana obviously has struggled on defense. What challenges do they pose to you guys?
Well, I think that the challenge is identifying what they're trying to do defensively. I think they have a little bit more of an identity maybe than Illinois. Illinois was kind of all over the place, and that made some things challenging. So we've got to identify what they're trying to do. I think we got to handle their guys inside. They've got some 2 big old D tackles that are really, really good players, and then they're going to try to pack the box and play. What we see almost on a weekly basis nowadays is everybody trying to pack the box but still play zone coverage behind it. And we saw it a bunch last year in the quarters coverage. We just couldn't throw it over anybody's head, or didn't have the confidence to do so. And so I think we've got to be able to recognize when things start getting packed in that we got to be able to make the play on the perimeter too.
Front row, Todd.
Todd Porter, Canton Repository, Massillon Independent, New Philly Times reporter, Gatehouse, Ohio Media. Tom, is it,
You're not my new favorite. He's still my new favorite.
is it, at this point in the season, when you look at Week 10 and have, Braxton have, an off day, is that concerning to you at all, or is that just something that quarterbacks do regardless of the time of the season?
Yeah, I think it's concerning to the point that I wish it hadn't happened, but concerning to the point where I think that it's a trend or a slippery slope. I don't see that. I think he had a bad day. He had a bad day in some conditions that were less than perfect, and we learn from your mistakes and move on. And so I think if this had been a pattern over a couple weeks or throughout practice even or anything like that, then I might be a little bit more concerned. But yeah, the concern is certainly there because you never want a guy to play substandardly, but at the same time, I don't think it's anything to worry about in the future, not yet at least.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, Tom, I just wondered, you came from two schools where if y'all just won, it was a big day. I mean, if you got to 6.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. What is it like to be coaching now at a place where you've won 22 straight, you score 60, and yet I know you guys dissect it as much as anyone else, but to have even national media, guys like us, still thinking it can be better. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, what is it like to be sort of under?
You're saying at Iowa State, if we scored 60 and had 600 yards of offense, we'd feel a little bit differently on Monday than we do at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think y'all were fired up about going to the Yankee Bowl or wherever.
We absolutely were. I mean, we threw parties and stuff, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think as you grow in the profession, you just adapt to the surroundings, and so it's. As you is that Coach Bruce back there?
Yes.
Hey.
And I'm all for Iowa State.
I know you are, and so am I. I had a great time there, along with Coach Bruce. But I think you adapt, Tim, to where you're at, but I think the thing that can get lost at times, and probably felt like, we had a really good season at Rice a few years back, and it started to be at the end of the year where winning it felt like a relief, and it wasn't an exultation, it wasn't jubilation, it was a relief, like, okay, we won again. And I promised myself after that season that I'd never take a win for granted, whether you win 3-2 or you win 60-35 or you win 76-0. Wins are really, really hard. I mean, really hard. And winning on the road is really hard. And they're going to get harder as the season progresses. And so we don't ever want to take that for granted on how difficult it is, no matter who you play, no matter who you are, that winning a football game on Saturday and playing 60 minutes and at the end of the day looking up and having more points on the scoreboard than your opponent is an incredibly, incredibly hard thing to do and should be enjoyed for the short amount of time that you can enjoy it and then start to prepare for the next week.
And then the other thing, I know every time I get a chance to talk to you, I ask you this question, but people keep thinking they're going to see more and more of Dontre Wilson. And first play of the game was a little swing on him, which overshot. And then, was it because of the way the plays went out? I mean, y'all had several huge plays Saturday, which kind of took away from possessions.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets lost in, does Dontre deserve to play more? Absolutely. Was it an error on my part, maybe not to get him a few more touches? Sure, you can put that on me, but when you're playing well offensively and you have some seniors and some older guys that are, I mean, for every time that Dontre touches the ball, Braxton Miller, Carlos Hyde, Philly Brown, those guys don't. So I think you have to be smart about when and where that happens. Did we think we might need him more in the beginning of the year to just win games? Yes. And so now we've got to figure out a way, because the kid deserves to play, and the kid is a really good player. And so I've got to do a better job as a play caller and game planner of figuring out a way to get him touches in the rhythm of the offense and not detract from some players that are playing really, really good football right now.
All right, last question. Steve?
Yeah, Coach, Steve Hellwagon, Bucknuts and 24/7. The third play of the game, you talked about the reads when Doug asked you about that. He fakes the give to Carlos. The guy crashes in, tackles Carlos, and he keeps it. He makes two guys miss, and he's gone. Just what was the idea on that play? Is that a keep for him all the way, or is that a great read on his part not to give him the ball?
No, yeah. He was reading the defensive end. The thing we hadn't anticipated was we were in our jet tempo. I mean, we were going fast, and Indiana actually had a check, I guess you will. I mean, every time early in the game, at least, every time we jetted, they were going to bring pressure and play cover zero and try to stuff us up front. And so actually, the guy that he made miss is one that we don't account for. You know, you're usually, if you see cover zero, you're going to check out of the play that was called. But because we were in our jet tempo and they got lined up fast enough, that guy was standing there. So he made a great read on the defensive end, and there's a guy there that's not supposed to be there, or if he's there, we would have checked out of the play. And I mean, does what I've coached him to do for 2 years, you know, and all those drills we do on how to make people miss, and I demonstrate and do all that stuff for him. And so he's starting to pick up, you know, he's starting to take after his coach a little bit, which is good.
Coach, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.